Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. So today we would like to present our topic is about teaching technique in the classroom. So first of all, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Zuhairah Binti Zuhuri and my partner Siti Aisyah Binti Bakar. So our goal in our project, which is we want to analyze the effectiveness of teaching techniques in the classroom. So that from our project, which is we have our introduction to our project, which is we want to know the effectiveness of teaching techniques that is using by teachers in the classroom. So teaching techniques that will use from teacher in the classroom is give an important role to the student in the classroom, which is to gain their knowledge and to gain motivation to the student, so that teacher must know or must play the important role, which is they can use the way to teach a student that give the more effectiveness, so that teaching techniques is the one of the style or the way that give the information or effectiveness to the student in the classroom. So that from our project, we have a objective that we want to achieve, and from our objective we can know that it is achieved or not from our interview session. So first of all, I would like to tell about our objective, which is first, we want to analyze the types of teaching techniques that using in the classroom, and the second one is we want to know or to analyze why teachers use the techniques using teaching in the classroom. And then the third is we want to analyze the implication of the teaching techniques that teachers use in the classroom, and how it will effectiveness to the student in the classroom. And the last is for our objective is we want to hear the challenges that teachers face in the classroom with their student. Our methodology, that is the way or method that we use to know that our goal or our objective is achieved or not, is first we create or we prepare the questionnaire, which is consists of 8 questions when we want to ask a teacher. So the second one, we do a interview session with teacher in primary school in area Johor Bahru. And the third one, after we do a what we call interview session, we make or we do transcribe, which is from transcribe we can get data and result, and we can make or we can prepare our report that we use in our slide presentation.
In the second part of this presentation, we will focus more on what are the techniques that teachers implement in their classroom. How does this technique impact the student? And how do they assess the effectiveness of the technique that they implemented in the classroom? And also, most importantly, what are the challenges do they face in the classroom in using those techniques that they have chosen. First of all, most of these teachers believe in using experiential learning or inquiry based. What do is they give the student chance of experiencing the thing that they're going to learn, and also give the student chance to inquire more, have ownership in looking for solution for the problem. For example, if a teacher want to teach science on the topic of living and non-living things, so in the classroom, the teacher might just start with a small mini lesson. They take around 5 to 10 minutes, where the teacher will just explain in brief what is living and non-living thing. Like living things breathe, or maybe they grow, they need food, and things like that. And then what the teacher do then is bring the children outside and let them go out and find different things out on their own, where they will find trees, they will find stones, they will find rocks and different things. And when these students get all these things, they will sit together and they will start discussing, like, is this a living thing? Is this a non-living thing? And then because in the classroom, the teacher already gave some guidelines on what are the characteristics for living and non-living thing, so students should be able to discuss with their team members, like, okay, is this a living thing? Like, do they grow? Do they breathe? Do they need food? So the student will experience it on their own and ask a lot of questions before they come up with a conclusion, what is a non-living thing and which one is a living thing. So this type of learning is very meaningful, as a student experience it on their own and they're learning it from the experience rather than memorizing whatever the teacher is teaching in the class. Secondly, the most commonly used type of teaching in a classroom is purposeful play. So the teacher will conduct a mini lesson, and then they will put students into different groups and they can play different games in order to master the topic that is being covered on the day. For example, the teacher is trying to teach pattern, let's say, and the teacher will just go through a very basic introduction of what pattern is, like pattern do repeats, and then what are the things that you can change in a pattern is like shape, size, and color. And maybe the teacher will show like 1 or 2 examples, and after that the student will go into different groups and they will be given different manipulative. For example, maybe some popsicle sticks, maybe different shapes, and then when students are in their group, they will try and make their own pattern. And the teacher will go group by group and have a look of what the student is doing, and then start discussing it with them. Like, what kind of pattern have you made? For example, if one of the group, they make like red, blue, and all are triangle. And then the teacher will go in like, okay, for example, if red is A and blue is B, so we have A, B. So that is one kind of pattern where you are repeating the A and B. And then in another group, they might have done different patterns. So from this activity, the student will find out different type of pattern that they can make, instead of the teacher teaching the same thing over and over again and do lots of practices just for them to remember. And the third one, which is something that is very critical, is differentiated learning. This is a very effective tool for students because we know that different students learn differently and everyone cannot be on the same ground. So differentiated learning is where the teacher will alter their outcome a little bit based on the ability of their student. So for example, the teacher gave 10 questions on patterning and they have different levels of students in the class. So what the teacher will do is, out of the 10 questions, maybe the teacher will separate the part into like a must, a should, and a could section. So for students who are high achievers, who are usually able to, and they have different levels of students in the class, so what the teacher will do is, out of the 10 questions, maybe the teacher will separate the part into like a must, a should, and a could section. So for students who are high achievers, who are usually able to finish their work on time correctly, So those students are students that are expected to finish everything until the code. But for students who are struggling a little bit on doing their work, maybe the least that they can try is must, or even if they on that day they have the confidence, they can go to should. So this kind of thing is to keep the student motivation on, so that they don't feel demotivated by not being able to finish their work all the time. So differentiated learning is very important in terms of keeping student motivation and interest in the lesson, rather than blaming themselves being not good enough, that they are not able to achieve like what other people are doing. Okay. Then we'll go to the impact of these techniques. So most of the teachers believe with all these 21st century learning ways and techniques, they believe that students are taking ownership of their own learning. Where students are being taught something and they are being given the freedom to actually go and find the solution in their own way, on different way. Different people might find different solution for one questions. Okay, and then student is also having fun, and because they are having fun, they are learning better because the environment is a bit more conducive, and the student feel happy in learning. They are not feeling that they are being forced. They are not feel they are obligated to just learn the thing that's being given by the teacher, but they themselves feel responsible, that they want to learn more, they want to inquire more, they have a lot of questions, they are curious. So that is one of a very big impact on the student. And of course, and due to the freedom that we're giving them in terms of finding the solution, in terms of doing their work, the student become more creative. They are able to think outside of the box, in comparison with the traditional way where there's only one way in doing everything and everybody is expected to do the same thing. Okay, how do these teachers assess the students? There's a few ways that they usually use in the classroom. First of all is through observation. So the teacher will go into different groups and see how does the student engage with the activities that's being given. Are they contributing their ideas? Are they missing some correct information from the topic? So the teacher will go from group to group, observe, and also they can do a direct lesson with the student that is missing on some part of the topic. Secondly, these teachers use quizzes instead of an exam. So they do a topical quizzes where they will do a pre-test before they start a topic to see what are the knowledge that the student already know, so that they do not have to reteach the same thing and make the student feel boring. And then after the lesson and after they have finished the whole topic, they will have another test called post-test, where they want to see if the student have already understand the topic properly. And from the test, the teacher will be able to know, is the student missing some information from the topic that they should be knowing about. Maybe there was a gap, maybe there was some student, a group of students who doesn't understand a certain part of the topic. Then the teacher can help this group and teach them with a mini lesson. And if there's a large number of students who doesn't understand certain part, which means the teacher will need to reteach the whole part. And the biggest challenges for these teachers in terms of implementing all these techniques in the classroom. First of all, in terms of resource. It's very hard to get a lot of resource in Malaysia, especially the manipulative that's very helpful in the learning. And some of the teachers had to go through like making their own. And if even they found it like from overseas, it will cost a lot, and usually it takes a very long time for those things to arrive here. And secondly is the student attitude themselves. And because a lot of these students usually are very used to the traditional way of teaching, where teachers teach, they just listen and they just do the exercises, these students are afraid to voice out their opinion. And some of them, we can even say they are lazy, they just doesn't want to think, they just want the answers. So those are very big challenges for the teacher in order to help the student to be more creative, more prompt in giving their opinion. And also thirdly is in terms of classroom management. And because all these technique uses a lot of activities that run simultaneously at a time, the teacher's ability to control the class is very important. Because if teachers cannot manage their class, you will end up having a class with students running around like in a zoo, and in return, the student will not be able to learn anything at all. So in order to implement all these techniques, students need to have certain level of self-regulation so that they are able, that they understand how to control themselves when they're in a group, how do they work in a group. So the teacher have to go through, like, give them a guideline of how do you work with your friend, like when there's a difference in opinion, what do you do, when you argue, so what do you need to do in order to resolve all the conflict that came after that. So in conclusion, we can say that education is an evolving industry. There's a lot of things changing every day, and the student that we get is also different from day to day. The student that we have now is different from what we have 10 years ago. Students now like to voice their opinion more than what students are in 10 years ago. So teachers have to be aware of new techniques that can be implemented in the class, new ways in order to accommodate different kind of disabilities that we have now, and different type of students that you are having every day. And teachers also have to be willing to change their method of teaching in order to suit the way of the millennials thinking. So in short, we can say that teachers in today's world have to be willing to evolve and change their mindset, and always follow the trend, like what are the best ways to teach the student, because in the end, what we want to achieve is not just students who are able to spill out all the information that we already given to them, but we want students who are able to think creatively and ethically, and they are able to innovate and be creative and create better things for the future, because we do not want to produce more robots, but we want to produce more leaders, more researchers, more scientists in the future. So the goal nowadays in teaching is not just to produce students with flying colors result, but we want to make them a better person that will contribute to the world and make the world a better place. Thank you.